All right, welcome. This is going to be a quick class focusing on the quads and hip flexors. All right, so start laying on your back. So like every practice, just make yourself comfortable here. Whatever shape that looks like, that you can have the least amount of effort in your body. And see if you can just take those first few minutes here to give yourself permission to be on your mat, and to recognize unconscious tension, and see if you can start to let go. And can you allow your face, your jaw to soften? Can your shoulders rest into your mat? Maybe you notice they tend to shrug up to the ears. See if you can just soften. And then with your hands resting on your abdomen, see if you can soften that whole space in between your pubic bone and your collarbones. So the whole core of your body. And connecting to the movement of your diaphragm. Using this muscle to not only help you breathe more efficiently, but especially here in this practice, to help bring that rest and digest state into your nervous system. And that translates into more ease as you move through the body in certain stretches and movements. Know that our muscle length isn't a factor in stretching. It's the intensity in the nervous system, the tension that our muscles hold is determined by the tension in our nervous system. So starting to practice a diaphragmatic breath. As you inhale in through your nose, can you feel your abdomen expand and then your low ribs broaden? And as you exhale, try not to rush it. Find the very end of your breath without forcing or contracting. And take the next 6 to 8 breaths, starting to build upon that. Can you feel the sides of your body expand, not just the front body? And can you feel the back of your body pressing down into your mat, using that point of reference, the feeling of your back body expanding into the floor, into your mat. And starting to feel your breath really move three-dimensionally. And can you be less tense through the neck, the shoulders, as you pull your air in? And feeling the belly draw in, the ribs recoil as your breath moves out. And so take this breath with you through the next bit of movement. Start to bring your shins so they're parallel to the ceiling. Your arms can reach up to the ceiling, so you're in a dead bug upside down tabletop position. Take a full broad breath in, and as you exhale, find the core. Feel your low back just gently rooting towards the mat. You're not over pressing. Your goal is to keep your spine neutral here as you move through the limbs. So as you start to inhale, extend your right heel out away from you any amount. Really notice, is the low back lifting? Am I overcompensating? Maybe you back out a little bit. Hold there. Start to reach your left arm overhead. Again, any amount. Can you really focus on the neutrality of your spine? Exhale, come back through center. Inhale, left leg stretches out, right arm reaches overhead, hold. And are you tensing up through the front of the neck? Is the chin lifting? Can you keep the back of the neck long? And so the two curves of the spine, the low back, the lumbar spine, and the cervical spine. And come back to center. And we'll keep going a little more fluidly. Inhale, right leg, left arm stretches out. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Try to really reach long, however far you're going. Exhale, back through center. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, back through center. Couple more. Left leg, right arm as you inhale. Again, are those curves in your spine, the lumbar, the cervical, are they lifting? Try to keep them neutral. Exhale, back to center. Last one, right leg, left arm. Inhale. Exhale, back through center. Go ahead and press your hands into the front of your thighs and your thighs back into your hands. So you're maintaining this tabletop shape. Nothing's moving, you're just holding this isometric contraction. Okay, can the low ribs draw in? Maybe you look up, is your belly popping up? Or can you keep it flat and firm? Shoulders and chest broad. Keep resisting. Last breath. You'd hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Grab the backs of your legs. Tuck your chin. Round your spine. Give yourself a few little rock and rolls. And coming all the way up onto your hands and your knees. And now from your hands and your knees, you're going to step your right foot forward. So you're in this 90-90 position. Okay, so we're going to try to recreate the shape of the spine. Can you find the natural curves of the cervical spine, the lumbar spine? Okay. So notice if the pelvis really tips forward or if you're really exaggerating and tucking the tailbone. See if you can find neutral. So we'll practice that by exaggerating, anteriorly tilting the pelvis forward. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, posteriorly tilting. Okay, so just take a few more. Inhale, tip the pelvis forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Okay, a couple more. Anteriorly tilting. And as you exaggerate tucking the tailbone, you might feel a bit of a stretch in the quad and the hip flexors. So see if you can kind of work your way to what feels like it's in between those two. Not tilting forward extremely. Not over-exaggerating the tuck, just neutral. Keep your hands on your hips here. Tuck your back toes under if they're not tucked. Start to squeeze your inner thighs together. So imagine you're dragging your right foot and your left foot together. Can you start to lift up, straightening that back leg any amount, and then slowly lowering to a hover. So your goal here is to maintain that neutrality of the pelvis, which ends up being neutrality through the low back, through the lumbar spine. Take a few more, probably feeling some burning. Lower down. Good. Now let's enjoy a bit of a stretch here. You can bring your hands onto your floor or blocks. Any props you can bring up to your hands is great. Okay, so just let yourself be pretty passive here. It might feel good to hang the head a little bit, maybe sway right to left, and you're just kind of flossing through some of the musculature in that anterior left part of the leg. Last breath there. All right, from here, lift the back knee, tuck your back toes under. Look forward, so find some length through the back line of your body. You may be imagining some of that neutral spine, neutral pelvis. Take one breath in. As you breathe out, step lightly to the top of your mat. Bend your knees as much as you need. Feet are at least hip width distance, and just round forward here. Let some of that work go. As you inhale, press into your feet. Reach up to the ceiling. Grow really tall. Grab your left wrist, side bend over to your right. Good. Come back through center with your inhale. Place your hands onto your hips. Bring your left knee up to 90. So find your balance. Set your gaze to one spot. Okay, can you keep the neutral curves of the spine? So even imagine the back of your head in line with the back of your pelvis. You can even put your right hand on the back of your head, left hand on the low back. Stay or try straightening out your left leg. Lots of hip flexors, lots of quads here. If you get a cramp, come out and then come back in. Let's take one more breath. Grow taller through the crown of your head. Slowly lower your left leg down. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold forward. And halfway lift, press in to your blocks or your mat. Lengthen your spine. Bend your knees, step back into plank. Hold plank. Okay, if you need to lower your knees, you can. Or else see if you can start to lift your right leg without the right hip dropping. Can you get stronger into your left leg? Can you imagine now you're dragging your hands and your left foot together, really contracting the front side of the body? One more breath in. As you breathe out, lower your right foot, lower yourself all the way to your belly. From your belly, support your forehead with your right hand. Curl your left heel into your butt. If you can, reach back with the left hand, grabbing the foot for a stretch. If you can't, you can use a strap. Loop the strap around the left foot, as awkward as it is, and just pull the foot in with the strap. My dog will be joining us for yoga every now and then. So see if you can start to control your heartbeat by controlling your breath. Inhale for a count of 3. Exhale for a count of 3 or 4. Where can you relax and soften? And take 2 more. And without slingshotting your foot, start to gently release. If you had a strap, awkwardly take that strap off. Slide your hands beside your ribs. Press up to tabletop as you inhale. Reach your hips back for a child's pose as you exhale. And come back any amount. You're not forcing pressure or flexion into the knees if you don't have it. So the goal is not to sit all the way back onto the heels if that's not right for you. You can always be forward a little bit and just letting the chest hang. Not here long, just take one more breath. And then come back up through tabletop to your hands and your knees. Step your left foot forward. So I should have mentioned on the other side, if you need extra padding for that right knee, throw a towel, fold up your mat, give yourself a little extra support there. Hands start on the hips. Okay, so start to exaggerate the anterior tilt. Stick your butt back, tilt the pelvis forward. As you exhale, exaggerate that posterior tilt. Really tuck the tailbone under, even engaging the right glute to help that, encourage that. Feel the thigh. Okay, with breath, inhale, tilt forward. Exhale, tilt back, and just move slow at your own pace. Take a couple more rounds, moving through that anterior tilt, a little extra extension of the low back. The posterior tilt, a little bit more flexion of the lumbar spine. Start to work your way to neutral, so in between those 2 exaggerations. Okay, now start to engage. Think of squeezing the inner thighs. You drag the feet together so that you can keep neutral as you straighten that back leg. Okay, now lower to a hover, keeping neutral. Okay, move slow. The slower you move, okay, the harder. Lots of these little small intrinsic muscles are going to have to work. Our body likes to take the easy route. So just finding a bit of challenge. If it's challenging for you, try one more up and down. Good. And then let your right knee land. Bring your hands onto your blocks. And just be pretty sloppy here. Let your head hang. You might feel that more in the right hip flexor. I like to give a little sway, just kind of searching for sensation or those extra areas of pull. Never trying to overstretch. Just kind of searching for the start of sensation. Okay, and then you can lift your head, tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee, get strong into your back leg, extend your chest forward. So your back body's turned on here, holding up your posture. As light as you can, take that light step to the top of your mat, feet hip width distance, ragdoll over your legs. Maybe you sway a little bit. Bend your knees as much as you need. Let your head be heavy for one last breath. Root into your feet. Inhale, rise up with your breath. Grab your right wrist side, bend over to your left. Good. Come back through center as you inhale. Hands to your hips as you exhale. Shift your weight into your left leg. Bring your right knee up to 90. Find your posture, stand tall. Extend your right leg straight. Are you leaning back? Are you over tucking the tailbone? Can you find a bit more core by thinking of squeezing your sit bones together and lifting up through the pelvic floor? Last breath in. Slowly lower your right foot down. Arms reach up. Inhale. Fold over your legs. Exhale, empty. Halfway lift. Wake up your back body. Keep it awake. Step back into plank. Pause in plank. Option to lower the knees, or else start to hover your left leg. Think of a tripod. So you got those 3 points touching your mat. Imagine pulling them all to the center of your mat. Feel your chest express forward. Feel the right quadriceps turning on. Good. Lower your left leg. Take an inhale. Lower all the way to your belly as you exhale. Your forehead can be on the back of your left hand. Bend your right knee. Strap if you need, just like the other side I demonstrated, or else grab your right foot with your right hand. Going for a quad stretch. Okay, we have many dimensions, directions of muscle fiber, so feel like you can adjust where the right thigh is. Sometimes taking it a little bit wider gets a little bit more into some of those more medial muscles of the hip flexors, a little more medial through the quads. Sometimes hip width distance feels nice, so you kind of choose. Find sensation and then stay with it. Never pressing through pain. And a lot of times in stretching, less is more. Last breath. And slowly release your right leg long. Slide your hands beside your ribs. Press yourself up through tabletop as you inhale. Child's pose for 2 breaths as you exhale. Just a little counterbalance. And then come on up to your hands and your knees. Go ahead, flip onto your back. You know, you're going to want a pillow or a block, okay, or something to go underneath the pelvis here. We're going to finish with a stretch for the psoas. So lift your hips. Place your block, if you have, on the lowest setting, supporting it underneath your sacrum. So your sacrum, if you could kind of imagine here, it's always good to, we all know where a butt crack is. So literally you want that edge of the block kind of just on the crest of the top of your butt crack. All right. So you're going to hug your right knee in. Interlace your hands or use your strap around your right knee. Just pull your right knee in as close as you can, whether it's wide or narrow. You don't want any pinching in the front of the right hip. Okay, and then start to extend your left heel out away from you. So try to be a little more active into that left leg. Imagine you're pressing a wall away from you. Flex your left ankle. You can engage your left glute a little bit. Now we're going to ask the psoas, the hip flexors, to be a little more active. So go ahead, just hover your left heel just about an inch. You might start to feel some shakiness. You know, without the hips moving on the block or the back of the pelvis or sacrum moving, start to open your left leg out to the left and then bring it back to center. Okay, so continue to move through that abduction and then bringing the leg back in. The whole time, could you try to keep your heel only hovering that inch? So the slower you move, the shakier you might be. And that's a good thing. What we're asking this muscle to do is be active at its longest, length that it has. That's often where we find a lot of weakness and compensation. So from here, we're just going to switch. Place your left foot onto the mat, right foot meets it. Pause. And then hug your left leg in. Maybe you take the awkward grip with the hands, interlace them the weird way. Hug the left thigh in. And then start to extend your right heel away from you. So if you recall those exaggerated curves of the spine, notice if your low back's really arching and lifting. See if you can kind of keep it in that neutral feeling, even though we do have the block there. You can get active into the right leg. Press that imaginary wall away from you. And then hover the heel an inch. You can stay in stillness always, or you can just start to take those slow, curious movements, opening the leg towards the right, and bringing it back to center. And all the while, can you stay pretty relaxed, easy through the neck, the shoulders, the jaw. And so hip extension is a big part of the gait phase. And so that's kind of what we're focused on in this class. And the foot pushes off and the leg extends back. You want to balance strength and mobility. You can't have one without the other. Last one. Right, start to bring your right foot back, left foot meets it. Pause at center. And when you're ready, engage your glutes, lift your hips just enough to take that block out. Lengthen your spine, so roll down one vertebrae at a time. Let your hips land. Straighten your legs out long, arms along your sides. And take a moment in Shavasana. And just notice where your thoughts are. Is there anything not serving you? Anything out of your control that you can just let go of? Knowing it will be there when you choose to come back to it. Notice if the breath feels any easier. Give space to breathe a little more freely. You can stay laying on your mat for as long as you need. Or else thank yourself for getting the time to do something positive, balancing for your body, for your training. Namaste.